Blake Bowman here with Gorilla Zen Fitness, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about knee pain again. So the knee is a very complex joint, kind of like all of our joints in the body. There's a lot of structures in there that can become damaged and inflamed. Today I'm going to be talking about what happens when your kneecap is misaligned, specifically when it's displaced laterally off to the side, like towards the outside of your knee. If this is your kneecap, it's supposed to sit in a groove in the knee like this, okay? And what happens when it's displaced or like moved off to the side is it basically grinds down all the cartilage underneath it and causes something called chondromalacia, which just means that the cartilage underneath the kneecap has become degenerated. Now the patella or the kneecap can be displaced in a lot of different directions. Usually though, like I would say 9 times out of 10 when people are having patellar tracking issues, kneecap tracking issues, it's moved off to the side, the outside. So if this is somebody's left knee, the kneecap is positioned that way. Now this is very common in runners and endurance athletes. It's also often sometimes referred to as runner's knee. And what this is usually characterized by and caused by is a set of muscular imbalances where the muscles on the outside of the thigh, okay, like right here, the Vastus lateralis and the connective tissue on the outside of the thigh, like the IT band, are very, very tight, pulling that kneecap off to the side. And then the muscles on the inner thigh, the adductors, and specifically the Vastus medialis, which is like an inner quadricep muscle right about here, is weak, and it's not doing its job of keeping that kneecap centered. Basically all the tightness over here, pulling the kneecap that way, and these muscles in here and the connective tissue in here is not doing its job of, like I said, keeping it centered. The only tools that you're really going to need to start addressing this lateral displacement of the kneecap is a foam roller and some space that you can do these exercises in. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to roll out the IT band on the side of the leg, which is a fat band of connective tissue that runs right down the side of the leg. I've made videos about this in the past, but it's pretty simple. But for you, if you have this lateral displacement of the kneecap, then this can really be painful, and it most likely will be. But what you're going to do is you're going to put your foam roller down. You're going to stack your legs on top of it, just like this, okay? And then roll right up and down the side of the thigh, looking actually for the most painful areas, okay? Now you should know that this is the most aggressive version of this technique. You can actually, if this is way too much for you and you feel like you're gonna like cry when you do that, you can put the foam roller against the side of your leg when you're standing and like pinch it between a wall and then like slide up and down the wall when you're standing. That way all of your body weight won't be on the foam roller at once, okay? So you're really, when you're doing that, regardless of whether you're doing it on the wall or on the ground, spend some time right up and down the side of the leg here, okay? Now we're going to focus on a muscle. Remember, the IT band is not a muscle, it's just a bunch of connective tissue. It's a thick band of connective tissue that runs down the leg. But now we're going to focus on a muscle slightly adjacent to it. It's part of the quadricep muscle group. It's called the Vastus lateralis. It's right here, okay? So the IT band is low down here, and the Vastus lateralis is up here. So they're very close to each other, okay? You can actually kind of foam roll both at the same time, but for the sake of today's video, and just to make sure that we thoroughly get release in both, we're going to separate them, okay? But to get the Vastus lateralis, like I said, you're going to basically get in the same muscle area, except you're going to be a little more on top of the leg here, okay? It's more on top, not as much off to the side. However, it's still off to the side, a little bit. Okay, so it's going to look like this. You want to orient your hips downwards a little bit more, okay? And you're rolling right up and down there. Again, this is going to be very, very tight for you. You can also do the walled modification if this is too much, okay? But this is essentially it, okay? I'll give you a better view here on my other leg. Right there. Notice that I'm not on the IT band. In order to be on the IT band, I would have to be more sideways, like this, right? Tilt forward a little bit and run up and down there. If you're having trouble, kind of visualizing what I'm talking about, then go ahead and just pause this video and Google image search Vastus lateralis, okay? Okay, so with that aside, you're gonna basically now strengthen the muscles inside of the knee, okay? Closer to the medial part, okay, the Vastus medialis, which is this muscle. Remember, it's the tightness out here that's displacing the kneecap, shooting it that way, okay? So what we did was we just released some of the tension and neural drive firing into this area, so that it's not as likely to contract when we're strengthening this, okay? So the vastus medialis is this right here. It's this little like hump of muscle inside of your knee here, okay? This is also called the teardrop of the quad. That's what some people call it. Basically, to strengthen this thing, what you're going to do is you're going to externally rotate your leg a little bit like this, okay? You're going to palpate that muscle, the teardrop, okay? Right here, you're going to poke it with your fingers very gently. What this will do is it will help you get more contraction in there, okay? It'll give you a little sensory feedback that'll allow you to form a greater mind-muscle connection to that part of the muscle, okay? So basically, you're going to do little light pokes in there, and then you're going to squeeze your quad as hard as you can. Really contract your thigh, poking in there, trying to make all of the squeezing occur in this part of the muscle, okay? Hold it for about 1 second, and then release. Contract hard, 1 second, and then release. Contract hard, 1 second, and then release. Okay, the idea is to maximize the contraction in this portion of the muscle and not the outside, because that's the pattern of imbalance that you already have that's displacing the kneecap. So really palpate this area. Really think about this contracting. If while you're trying to contract this, you feel that outside of the quad contracting again, the vastus lateralis, then get back on the foam roller for like another minute to shut off that neural drive in there, and then come back to this. You really want to only be feeling the contraction in here, because if you're feeling the contraction on the outer thigh, then like I said, you're just contributing to that imbalance even more. You know, you're continuing to strengthen and create more tension on the outer thigh, which is going to displace the kneecap even more. I would recommend doing about 2 to 3 minutes of foam rolling on the outside of the leg, followed by, I would say, about 4 sets of 15 repetitions of those isometric contractions of the vastus medialis, lasting approximately 1 to 2 seconds each.